Hi, and welcome Beyond the Racing Line, the Formula One podcast by fans, for fans. 2 races down, only the one show, but we are back for nearly the last time of season 2023. We will have a review show next week, but 2 races down. We went racing in between those times.
Yeah, we did. It's nice to be back. It feels like
it is nice to be back. It does feel like forever.
We've had a bit of a break over the last few weeks, haven't we?
It's been hectic. This racing business of our own is getting a little bit hectic for us. But
so thanks to our listeners for being so patient, because I know they've been apprehensive.
And I was desperate to get on after Vegas.
Yeah.
But last week was the worst week in the world
for
us in terms of getting onto Vegas.
Yes.
But we're going to talk about everything. We are going to talk about everything and everything we can talk about in terms of Vegas and Abu Dhabi and all the wonderful things around that. We won't do a season review here, but you watch us just sort of fall into that zone from time to time.
Oh, as we do.
Yeah. We're going to have most of our goodies this week, but however, F1.5 won't be announced until our season review because that's the right place to do it.
Yep. I think most know the general winner from last episode.
Oh, yeah.
But I think it'll be...
It was all over, but we want to run down.
Yeah, it'll be the other positions. A couple. The Dan one will be an interesting one to watch.
So what I want to do is I want to do F1.5 next episode. And then we do our season review on the drivers, because I think that's going to give us a bit of an understanding.
Speaking of Dan, did you see that?
He's nice.
No, did you see his mini helmets came out for the season?
No, I
bought both straight away.
Did you?
Literally straight away.
Oh.
And you can afterpay them too, which is even better. That's actually more dangerous because it encourages you to buy things.
There you go.
Anyway, buy them.
I like it.
Buy them, they're good. I got both of them.
Which, did you get the blue one?
Yes, I got both.
And the
brown sandy one, the Silverstone
the one that they were calling the gentleman juice?
Yes, yeah. They were calling what? Gentleman, I like it. That's good.
Other drivers were being very cruel about his design.
Oh, I like it. He gets a hard rap.
The other drivers were saying it looked a little bit like gentleman semen all over his helmet. He was shocked and horrified to hear that.
No, I got both. Get them.
Sorry to start the show so
get them. They're
crudely.
Good. Yeah, no, we do that kind of stuff, don't we?
It is the way we go. But yeah, so we will get into all sorts of goodies and whatnot, and then next week will be the summary show. But so much to talk about with Vegas and whatnot. But opening question. With the Brawn GP, is it a documentary or movie?
It is a documentary, mini-series.
Yeah.
It's definitely not a movie.
Out.
Yep.
There is movies coming though, isn't there?
There is. There is
I think
a couple
the Lewis
of
Hamilton
movies.
ones, they were doing some more filming for, weren't they?
Well, if they've all stopped going on strike, and then
now they're back. Yeah.
Now they're back because they've all decided not to be on strike. And then there's the Ferrari movie that's coming out. I'm sure there'll be glimpses of Formula One in there, but that's coming out, and it's got I forget his name.
The guy.
The guy from Star Wars.
Oh, don't know. There's still no closer.
Anyway, sorry.
But anyway, with the Brawn GP documentary out, what is the opening question is, and it comes from a very close friend of mine, Tristan. I realised I hadn't actually got one, or I couldn't quickly find one because I think I have ignored it. Well, not ignored a couple, but missed a couple.
Yep.
But what team would you like to see
an
in-depth documentary about?
Yep.
It could be Formula One related, it could be other sport related.
Oh, other sport related.
Maybe I'll get another sport related one.
Okay.
And then I want an in Formula One one.
In F1 one.
Yeah, so it doesn't have to be current, obviously. It might be about the past. For me, if you're thinking about the ones that are out, there's cricket.
Yes.
The Australian team's got one, the English team's got one.
Yep.
We've obviously got Drive to Survive, which is semi-documentary.
What's that, 23rd of Feb? Did you see the date got announced for that one for next year?
Better timing.
Better time, no. You'd be
but it should be earlier.
I'm pretty sure it's 23rd of Feb,
Should be earlier than that.
I reckon Max will be.
There's a tennis one out. There's a golf one out.
Yeah, tennis one sucked. I hated that.
I really enjoy all the American football ones.
I do too.
I don't watch American football, but I enjoy watching the documentaries about them. Turn your phone off, Roger.
Yep, Last Chance You, that's a good one.
Yeah, that is good.
Yep.
I do enjoy that.
Yep, good.
I feel like we're missing a big one. Can't remember. There's AFL one, which was semi-okay. Yeah. Then the AFL have actually brought out one that's about the managers of football.
Yeah, okay.
Which intrigues me because I do like watching from a different perspective on these things.
Yes, yes, you do. Yes. Yeah, okay.
So, if you're outside of F1, for me, one of my other big loves is is Liverpool.
Yes. Yep.
Liverpool Football Club. I would love to see the inner workings of Liverpool Football Club. There was Sunderland Till I Die was a doco which almost started all of these ones, and the Wrexham one's quite good too.
Yep.
And then there was one about the Manchester United ex-players that got together and bought Salford, I think it was, Football Club.
Yep.
And there was a bit of documentary work on that, but I haven't seen any later ones. I need to go and hunt that down. It was really interesting.
That's fair enough.
Not that I like those guys, but it was really interesting. But I would love to see the inner workings of Liverpool in a really in-depth, well-made doco. So, that would be, for me, I'd love to see that.
Yep, that'd be
What
good.
about you, outside of F1?
Outside of F1? Probably... I didn't enjoy the tennis one in particular.
Didn't see it.
But I'd love to see a documentary, maybe just like a Roger Federer documentary, just about him. It'd probably just his latter years be good.
Yeah.
And
intriguing.
one of like Nadal as well.
Yep.
I didn't really care for the lower ranked tennis players and things like that in the Netflix one.
Oh, is that what it was? Low ranked?
Yeah, just it had a lot of people, and there was a lot that I didn't really know of. But I'd love to see that, like one that really focuses on like a Nadal. Or a Fed, or even a Novak one.
Yep.
Just towards the end of the career, especially considering they've both just sort of recently retired. I think that'd be interesting to watch.
They both retired.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
That shows how much I follow tennis. Inside Formula One.
Inside F1, man, spoiled for choice. Hey.
For me, I want to go first in case you still.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
Aston Martin.
Okay.
I think it's just an intriguing place with the Strolls.
Yep.
With the way that the team's on the build, they're building infrastructure, they're building all sorts of things. Then there's the Alonso issue. Then there's the whole how do we work around the Stroll issue. Now, you know that they're going to definitely limit what can be shown and what can be said about Lance. But I just, if you could get a really honest, in-depth doco about those guys, I think it would be fascinating. Just fascinating. And I liked it. I wish it would have started with the Seb years.
Yep.
To see how all that worked and whatnot.
Yep.
So, I just find it a fascinating place at the moment. And also, just there's such a aspirational team at the moment. And to see how they're continually trying to build. And were they happy with their year or weren't they happy with their year? So, that's for me, that'd be nice.
I reckon I'd go a couple of choices here. I'd love to see one on probably... I'd love to see one...
Don't you say Haas.
Team-wise.
No.
I wasn't... No, God, no one was talking about that. Team-wise, I'd love to see one on Lotus with the Grosjean and Kimi years.
Yeah.
And then leading into that as a driver. So I'd definitely love to see one on Lotus's return.
Yep.
I think that'd be interesting.
Yep.
I'd love to see one on Kimi.
Yep.
Just a doco on Kimi. I mean, his books there. I haven't read it yet. But that'd be cool on like his time at Ferrari... Then his exodus to Rally, then back to Lotus, and then off to Ferrari again. I just think that'd be a really interesting watch.
Yep.
Especially in the time, and that's what makes me think of the Lotus in that time where he just sucked them dry, where it was, a couple 100,000 per point.
Yep.
And then he ended up coming like third in the championship and pretty much turned the team bankrupt.
Yep.
Which I don't think he's still been paid that ever. And then, you know what else would be really good? Like a real drama-filled one. Imagine a Red Bull one, but solely focused around
Driver 2.
The dumping and Driver 2. So the dumping, so you could have the dumping of Gasly.
Well, the leaving of Ricardo, which started the whole process,
and then the Gasly, and then a fly on the wall to the exodus of Gasly, and then a little bit on Albon, and then a fly on the wall to the exodus of Albon, and then even throw De Vries in there. But it's all purely based on the drivers that they dump mid-season. Like that would be drama filled.
What could you call that?
Don't
Sacked in the morning, or
don't know. But I just think that'd be really interesting. Really interesting. You're right. Just solely on the number 2. You could even throw like as an opening to that, like a bit of time with Mark and Seb, because Mark was very much number 2.
Yep.
And just that. And I think those old ones, because I've watched the first episode of the Brawn one, which was interesting. It was a little bit. There's a couple of little sort of cringy moments where it was very like those real stupid, obvious narratives where Keanu Reeves is talking about qualifying and how qualifying works, and
Well, it's annoying
and
for us.
I know. I have to stop myself with that too. Yeah, it's annoying, but then there's probably people who don't know that who are watching Disney.
They're appealing to the masses and trying to get them on board.
But it's been interesting. Episode 1 is interesting because it talks about the actual paddock wanting to save Braun. And just what went into everyone collectively trying to save this team. And then they turn up in 2009 and they absolutely wipe the floor with everyone. And then the whole narrative of the first episode is a narrative how it changes where the teams, signed a Concord agreement, say, yes, we'll save the team. They went and got Norbert Haug from Mercedes and begged and pleaded them to give them an engine because Ferrari refused to, and all the teams felt good, and they thought, we feel warm and fuzzy about ourselves, we saved this team. And then as soon as they blitzed everyone in Australia, it was, get this team off the grid. And it changed the heart. Oh, it was really interesting. And the double diffuser and talking about Toyota and Williams also turning up with it. Christian Horner plays a really big role in the first episode, and he's very much the villain in that. And just a bit of a different appreciation for Ross Brawn on how nice he is. And they all talk about just how nice he is and how honest he is and how trustworthy he is. But then suddenly his character's questioned because he was smart enough to dump all the resources from 2008 into 2009 and just literally open lines as like we left 2008 behind.
It's
good. It's good. Yeah.
The year, I love the idea of focusing on a certain moment in time in teams. There was a podcast. I'm going to do this horrible thing where it's like sports greatest mysteries now. Can't remember what it was. I think it was a BBC Sounds podcast or something like that.
Yep.
And it was about Spygate. And it broke down Spygate. Yeah. And it was fascinating to listen to because it was Spygate, it was huge, and I knew a little bit about it, but I had no idea most of it. Yep. It was just fascinating to hear that. And to break down those moments was really interesting. So I want to hear one on Crashgate properly now.
Imagine a doco on the alleged illegal Ferrari engine.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago that we disappeared and we didn't know anything about it, and someone knows about it somewhere.
Oh God, yeah.
Even to hear Bernie talking this one on the Brawn, that's
latest episode of Beyond the Grid. Bernie.
Oh really?
Unreal.
I have not listened to Beyond the Grid for months. No,
I was in the same boat, and it popped up, and I usually just ignore them. It's always one of those ones that I'll listen to that on my mountain bike in the holidays.
Yeah.
Because I do like getting enthralled into the stories.
I like to listen to it just while I'm walking the dog.
I don't like stop-starting podcasts like that. No. And so to have that full hour to dedicate. But then when I saw Bernie, I was like, I can't afford not to listen to that.
I've found that I'm openly avoiding driver episodes. I want to know about other people.
Yep. So, anyway. But Bernie might feature next week. I reckon she's probably one of the best things that's happened.
Bernie Collins is yesterday's.
One of the best things that's happened to Formula 1 this year is Bernie Collins, I reckon, in terms of getting back getting into commentary. She has been fantastic.
Oh, look, that's good. You got Bernie.
Becoming better and better.
One about France Toss.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep. Anyway,
cool.
Let's talk Formula 1 because that question got out of hand.
It did.
Give me.
Yep.
We're going back. Let's step back to Vegas. We're going to sort of do double ups here.
Okay, yep.
Go back to Vegas.
Yep.
We were sceptical. Man, we were sceptical.
We all were.
We were, this is going to be a show. It's not going to be a race.
Yep.
But we weren't willing to say it out loud. But that's what we're all thinking.
Yep.
And we were trying to give it the benefit of the doubt. First session of Vegas, we hit a manhole cover thing, some sort of services cover. And all of a sudden it's red flagged.
Yep.
And, just like, oh
dear.
Boy.
Oh, dear.
This could be a very expensive operation, this. And lots of people were writing that very story online and all the different places. And then we got our second session in and the fans weren't allowed in because it was too late. They didn't have the contracts for the security staff to make it all work.
Yep.
Plus, they needed to move everyone out in time to get the street circuit back up and going. Mm-hmm. And it was just an absolute shit show to start with. Then we came to Friday, actually, for their time, and it turned around and it was like, oh, this is quite interesting, not a bad qualifying session. And then we got a race, which was a hell of a race, one of the best races for the season.
Very good.
Thoughts on, give me a race ranking for Vegas with that little summary.
Race ranking for Vegas, I'm going to give an 8.
It's a very nice 8, isn't it?
It's a nice 8.
I'm with you on 8.
You're right.
I'm with you on 8.
It's a surprising 8.
It's a surprising 8.
Surprising 8.
but I think we're going to be surprised year after year at this joint.
Yeah, I think so too. I think as a first time out track, yeah, they openly got a lot wrong. In hindsight, we probably all overreacted to the manhole cover. And I think it was probably...
I'm not sure we overreacted. It was a hell of a blunder.
It was, but I think
could have been worse.
Our sort of apprehension around what Vegas was going to bring, I think, added to it. So let's say we go to Spain,
or even Monaco,
and we lose a manhole in Spain.
Mm-hmm.
Do you care? Not really.
You're wondering why they're building it on a purpose-built racetrack, but yes, yeah.
But
if it's at Singapore, if it's at Monaco, who has runs on the board in terms of they've been able to run races properly, you're like, oh man, I can't believe this has happened. Yep. But you move on. Whereas this one, where everyone's piling in. You're right.
And I think you look at a couple of things that led up to that too, and it was probably there were aspects of the weekend where it was a very long 3-day advertisement.
Yeah,
that was little bits of it where. We had like the Hunger Games style driver entry, which I can well do without ever again. Like you can do, we said there was going to be cringy Vegas moments. There was, but I felt they were just wrong. Like it wasn't what I was expecting.
It wasn't as honest to God, and it could just be the broadcast. It wasn't as glitz and glamour.
No,
as I was expecting.
But there was just I sort of found myself watching it going, what are we doing that for? I was expecting ridiculous to the point where I would sort of laugh it off and be like, wow.
Yeah,
like, I'm partially impressed.
It's so bad it's cool.
But yeah, that's it. It's so bad. I just love it. But there were parts of it, like that. Like, drivers up on... And I was like, oh, really? Like, do we need to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Even, we had the driver brief. We finished the race. We got in the car. We drove to the Bellagio. Went to the rooftop of the Bellagio to really... advertise the Bellagio for about 5 minutes, and then we went back to
There was like the fountain. I'm sure is cool in real life,
but I don't care.
But on TV, it was shit house.
Yeah, it was crap.
Like from a distance, from where the guys were standing, it didn't look good on TV.
Yep.
From the aerial shot, it looked like that looks pretty cool to be there in real life.
Yep.
But it wasn't cool in real life.
No.
I don't want to see my nana's photos of her holiday. I want to go and see what she saw.
Even the spear, like I love the spear. It was great, but then at the same time, there was a point in the weekend I was like, that's enough.
Yep.
Like I've seen it. I get how it works. Yep. It's cool. You put some cool stuff on it, but just
I was expecting them to nail that stuff.
Yeah.
And mess the race up. And the race weekend was an absolute opposite.
The race actually
the race was great.
Weekend.
And the other stuff just wasn't worth it.
No.
It just didn't bring anything to Formula One. I'm sure it will. I'm sure they will. And it did look semi-spectacular at night in Vegas. But it didn't look as spectacular as I was expecting either.
No.
But the lights sort of looked good, but there wasn't enough lights on. No. They shut down too many lights. So, it was a really funny weekend in terms of that. But the race, thank goodness, was a ripper.
Yeah, and I think next year I can do without that. I actually think Vegas will be better for the lack of this sort of pyrotechnics and light show. Like, I know it's on the Strip. I'm aware of what the Strip is and the casinos around it. I actually need to take that away. And I think that's what Austin does really, really well. Like, look at Monaco. Monaco is glitz and glamour, but I don't need to go and park myself in front of the hotel and do an interview there. Because I'm aware it's there and I know it's there. But
they don't go and hang out in front of the casino.
No,
at the
I'm okay with that. So I think they will learn from it, and I would hope that they pare it back.
Honestly, I want them to pump it up more.
Really? So I
don't want to involve the drivers as such.
Yeah,
I just want the rest of it pumped up more. I think they could add more lights around the track. I think they were cautious not to dull the track with the lights. They wanted to keep the track lighting as bright as it could be. They didn't want to have certain colours. Like polluting the light in there. But I think they can probably turn a bit more on and to make it a little bit more spectacular again. I don't need the drivers to be involved, but I'm sure they can do other stuff around the track. And maybe they did.Maybe the broadcaster just didn't pick that part up. But I'm really positive about what sort of racetrack it was and what it brought to Formula One.
Same.
It was a proper racetrack. It was a proper race, and that's all that mattered for me.
For sure. I totally agree. Good place for a sprint.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah. Good place for the end of season. If you, I just want you to stop.
Good.
You can't have Brazil for whatever reason, okay, because I know that's your answer.
That's everyone's
There is, and it should be everyone's answer, but let's just pretend you can't have Brazil.
I'm okay with Vegas.
Vegas is a
with
good spot for a finish,
Well,
isn't it?
let's be honest. There would be how many races do we have? 23.
Yep.
Yeah, so
We had 22.
There's 22 better options than Abu Dhabi for an end of season.
And, you're spot on.
It really is.
And Abu Dhabi is a fine racetrack. I actually really like the racetrack. It's just not an end-of-season racetrack.
See, my big question now is Abu Dhabi now the worst track on the calendar?
Oh, no. See, I'm nowhere near that.
Oh, see,
I think it has a spot on the grid, on the calendar.
I don't now.
I just don't think it needs to be that last one. And I don't think they need to run it into the night. Oh, actually, no.
No, it does need to be the night, actually.
I don't mind the twilight, but there's things you miss if it's all dark.
Yeah,
and so there's cool aspects to it.
See, I think it's fallen now. Like it's fallen to the point where it's become the Sochi and it's become the Paul Ricard.
Give me your race ranking then. Let's move on to Abu Dhabi because we will do this little bit of crossover. It's just going to probably annoy people.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. That'll be right.
Give me a race ranking for Abu Dhabi.
I'm going to be incredibly harsh here.
Oh, really?
I really am. I'm going to give it a 4.
Whoa.
Yeah, like it's a fail. It's a total fail.
See, I couldn't work out whether I was going 6.5 or 7. It felt like, because it gave Vegas 8, 7 didn't seem... It seems a little high.
Yep.
But I thoroughly enjoyed the race. Nice. But it was saved with the battles for the championships behind Max being out in front.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed watching that aspect of it. And like I said, I quite like the track. I think it's a really interesting track.
Yep.
There's just enough overtaking opportunities, but it's got the interest. I think the changes they made has actually made a big difference to it.
I think Vegas has now hurt Abu Dhabi. I think Brazil and Vegas have both hurt it. Because Brazil, brilliant, which it always is.
Brilliant, yep.
We're very up and about Vegas. So when you finish the season, just in any aspect, like look at a really tight championship, like you could finish in Vegas, awesome way if it goes down to the wire. You have a year like we had where it's absolutely whitewashed with Red Bull and Max, and you can still finish in Vegas, and it's pretty good. Like Charles drove really well. Brazil is a great place to finish, but then I just feel that the way that we ended the season. It was a failure on the end of the season. Like
flat. Like the only way to describe it, finishing there is just a flat finish.
There is minimal to no excitement.
Last year we went to Jeddah before
Abu
Dhabi, which was exciting for us.
That's
right. We didn't quite get the same race this year.
No.
Was it last year? No, 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
But once again, Abu Dhabi was shown to be so flat when we did that. We went to Vegas year. Abu Dhabi was seen to be so flat. Last year it was flat because nothing happened anyway.
Look at 21 at Abu Dhabi, right?
We had the grand finish.
But in order to get the grand finish, we needed a dead set level points.
Yep.
We needed Max to fall behind, Checo in there, and then we needed an error in air quotes from Michael Massey to then throw a little bit of caution to the wind and have the end that we had. And it took all of those elements to
make Vegas,
reflect on...
make Abu Dhabi
great. So if you look at 2010 even, when Seb won in 2010, Mark and Fernando got stuck behind Petrov. And suddenly they were nowhere. And they spent the entire race just stuck.
You desperately need a racetrack that can carry a race that might be null and void and not worthy of points. Because we get ourselves in situations, so you need a racetrack that can provide a great race, no matter what the situation.
You need to finish on a high to then leave the fan, like the grand final. Like think about AFL. Like your team wins. So Essendon win the grand final.
Yep.
You go on holidays, premiers. But your team's won. You're so excited. How excited are you for next season already?
Yep.
You're super excited.
Yep.
Your team finishes last on the bottom of the ladder. You finish the home and away season, you're really not that pumped for next year. And so that's the same thing. Like you leave the season from Brazil, you feel unreal. You could leave the season in Vegas and you go, wow, gee, that was unreal. I cannot wait to get back and go racing again. And then you leave Abu Dhabi like we did on Saturday and you just think, Jesus Christ, is that it? And it left me flat and yeah. I don't know. I'd love to know other people's thoughts. I'm being a bit harsh. I don't know. Just for me personally, it now, I question if it belongs on the calendar anymore. From what we've had the 2 rounds before, they've killed it.
I'd be interested to see what we've just been racing. You and I with our schools and our teams. Yep. One of the key officials over there, Cam, good fella,
lovely,
really good fella,
lovely mate.
He told me that he didn't like Vegas and he was looking forward to Abu Dhabi. I'll be interested to see what his opinion was on it. Now, like I said, I really enjoyed the race because I enjoyed watching those battles, watching the teams try and work out where we saw Leclerc trying to work out ways of winning that second place in the championship. And I enjoyed that part of it, watching Aston Martin and McLaren go at it and watching a few of the battles between drivers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That made it interesting enough for me to enjoy the race.
Yep.
And I was pretty keen to watch a race as well.
Yep.
And so that
I'm always keen to watch
exactly, and that certainly helped me through it. But I'm with you 100%. It's a flat racetrack unless you've got something to pick it up for. It can't carry its own weight.
And even if you went back and watched it, if you watched right up to lap 40. Nothing to talk about.
Yeah.
And if you go on that far into a race, because you're right, we did sort of. There was a moment where we we come to life just for a moment, and then suddenly Charles is vocal on the radio, and you're right. The constructor battle was good, but again, the constructor battle wasn't there until right in the last few handful of laps, and 1 to 40. Goodness me, you could have gone and mowed the lawn and come back. Would have been like watching the Bold and Beautiful. You could miss it for a month, and you'd still be up to date with what's going on.
On the results, we saw Max take out another victory. He's now ahead of Seb.
Yes.
54, I think, race wins, which puts him third in the list behind Schumacher and Lewis. How many is Lewis on? Is he on 100?
107, off the top of my head.
Yeah, okay. I felt like it was like he was doing everything that he could have been doing in the last few races, but that sort of just turned things down and relaxed a bit. And but what a season! What a champion!
Yeah.
How many is he going to win?
Well, what was our prediction before Singapore? Like he would have kept going.
Oh no! In terms of championships,
terms of all time in championships.
Yeah, so this is his third.
Geez,
what is he? 26.
26. So this is his third. You'd be silly to bet against him for next year.
You'd be silly, but there's hope that there'll be competition.
There's hope,
but you'd be silly. Because this man has just been on fire.
So you could nearly say 4 next year with a fair bit of confidence.
If Red Bull are even with Ferrari and Mercedes, you're backing him against both of those teams, aren't you?
Yes, you are.
But the Max under pressure is a slightly different beast to the Max that's just cruising at the moment.
And see, I think Charles can bring that.
But I think he feels the pressure more than anyone, doesn't he?
Yeah. I think if you're in the battle with Ferrari and Mercedes, I'm very ready for another Max v Lewis round 2.
Oh God, yeah,
I really am.
Yeah, we were sick of it by the end of that one.
We were because it was draining.
It was too much. Yeah.
Yep. I think Charles can beat him. A lot of me just thinks he's the man that will get him.
I don't think Charles of the past can beat him, but I'm growing more confident that this is a more mature, more ready Charles. My dad will be telling me that this is ridiculous because he's not up for it. But no, I'm with you. I think someone can improve over time. So, yeah, but how many can he win?
How many can he win? I'm going to go 5.
5 more in total?
5 more in total.
That would be 8. That'd be all of them.
I think 5. I think he can go 5. Before he's got to start fighting for it.
See, I think I'm hoping next year will be a fight, but look, for me, I think like 7's well and truly within grasp.
Oh, having 3 so
he
early
he pretends like he doesn't need to break records, but I think 8's where he's after.
I kind of feel he's different. Seb was a little bit different like that, where Seb needed to. He needed the pole, the win,
Max
the fastest lap.
Max claims he doesn't, but then as soon as he does something, he knows about it really quickly.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I don't know. Nice to see Charles finish the season in a strong position, second position. It was a better showing
It was an elbows out, wasn't it? It was sort of, it was an angry Charles. It was just like, you know what? Nah, stuff it. I'm not putting up with this anymore.
And he was looking for ways to improve the team. It wasn't just about just getting to the line. He was looking for ways to help the team.
That was soft spot for Charles.
I know, yeah, it seems that way, doesn't it? But yeah, it was nice to see him finish the season strong because it's sort of been a little bit up and down for him. And to finish Vegas second and then to finish Abu Dhabi second.
Good.
I think it was, I agree. I think it was a strong showing, and I think that we're going to see a better Charles from this period of time. I think it's just going to help him tremendously. Third was Russell. Once again, a man who needed a decent result because he hasn't been going his way of late.
Yeah, he was on it this weekend, wasn't he?
Yep.
It just from the day that he turned up, he was ready to go. So
yep.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I said, he needed that result. He's sort of in the last few weeks is becoming a little bit ridiculous in terms of how his season was going, and it wasn't where he wanted it to be, and he was admitting that, but people were continuing to sort of rub that in a little bit. So yeah, it was a strong showing. Sergio Perez has done enough for his Red Bull team.
Just.
I think we predicted it with 2 rounds to go.
Yeah.
Is he going to hold it? And we both said he'll probably just do enough to make sure
Which
he holds
he did.
on to it.
He generally has. He just did enough.
Is 4th good enough in that car?
No. No, so do we.
Lando. Solid showing after tricky Vegas where he come unstuck.
Just didn't work. Vegas was McLaren's what was Singapore to Red Bull.
Yeah.
It
didn't work for them.
It didn't work and it wasn't
the inability to turn on tyres, but then he obviously had that. He came unstuck and crashed all by himself, but with tyres that just weren't sticking.
Yep.
Turned it around, had a really solid race weekend. This business of driver of the day and him getting driver of the day or being up there for driver of the day is crazy.
Not sure.
It's crazy. He's nowhere near driver of the day, just running around like that.
Nowhere.
Aussie Oscar Piastri, 6th.
Very good. Fantastic qualifying.
Solid.
Fantastic qualifying.
Yeah.
Best qualifying of the season.
Yep. His race craft. Oh no, not racecraft.
I think it's his time management.
Yeah, time management is still the major issue.
And I've heard him
race
openly
management
say that
probably.
Too. So he knows that. He knows that too.
Yep, but that's the only thing holding him back. It was interesting to see that he's had the most overtakes for the season, and both shook us both on that one because I was like, I didn't expect that, but yeah. Obviously goes to show, but he has had some absolutely terrific overtakes.
Were you surprised to see the F1 social media announce him as Rookie of the Year?
Considering one of them got sacked and the other one's been
considering he's like the only rookie on the grid at all. So it's like
Sargent's still there for a moment.
Not really. Not really a social media worth post, is it?
He's had a good year. They just wanted to point out he had a good year. But I'm with you.
Yeah, shock horror.
Alonso 7th.
Yeah, hit and miss sort of race, wasn't it? There was potential, but then it sort of never eventuated.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Yuki, really strong
Brilliant.
finish.
Race,
really strong
his
finish.
race of the year for Yuki. Really was.
Yeah.
Needed 7th, fell 8th. I found myself, as much as I love what Williams has done this year, I was cheering for Yuki all the way
I was
home.
incredibly impressed with the way he finished out the year.
I was like, just get it. He needed 7th. What did he finish? 8th? Did he finish 8th?
Ricardo coming into that team, for me, it feels like it's you now have to perform.
Yes.
There's actually pressure on you now.
But also he's probably got a mentor too.
Yeah.
He's like, I've actually got someone who I can share race data with. I can share setup with, where he couldn't do that with Nick.
Yep.
And he's very much not ready to be that person that someone else can share setup and data and you know, all that kind of stuff of.
I think it's the best thing for him is to have a competitor.
Yeah. Needs a real mature arm around him, doesn't he? He really does. Like that's what France provided to him early on. Like, was really rough around the edges.
Yep.
France took him under his wing, helped him, and now has Dan there. So I think that's really important for Yuki, just as a driver, to have a real mature, level head in and around him, and his support people too. See, Michael Italiano has left F1.
Completely.
That's it.
I was expecting him to go back to Dan.
Yeah, no, that's it. Yeah, because he obviously took over Yuki, but he announced this week.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Lewis in 9th and then Stroll in 10th.
Lewis in 9th, just a nothing weekend, hey? Just a real nothing weekend for Lewis.
So up and down this season.
Yeah.
Like sometimes he's like, oh, they're really performing. They've really got it together. And then the next moment, it's just that consistency is gone. They'll be so happy to get rid of that car.
Read an interesting quote from Toto just saying that they will just bin everything from W14 and we'll start again.
Yeah.
And they're prepared to take that risk rather than build on what they have to get small gains, that they're prepared to take the risk and dump it and start fresh for a larger gain. Well, I don't mind that.
We were talking like McLaren did that.
They did. It works, yeah.
They did not compete at the first stage of the season.
No.
Because they knew they weren't going to.
But even Aston's preparedness in the last couple of rounds to just say, you know
what,
that's it. Back to where we were.
Yep. Stroll.
Eh.
Solid Vegas. Not so solid here.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. Amandan was in 11th. Didn't quite get the point.
No,
solid.
Yeah.
Once again, didn't quite have the right race. He had to stop early.
Yeah.
And that sort of did him in the end. But yeah, it was the race of could have been better, but solid in the end.
Probably has had a little bit of an up and down sort of back end of the season. First race, brilliant. Next one, not great. Next one, brilliant. It's been a bit on and off again. But again, having only, just under half the season, if not that?
Yep.
Not even that, sorry. It'd be about a third of the season.
Anyone else you want to mention?
No.
Let's go to All Signs. That's All Signs, 3, 2 and 1, AWE Signs, for all your signage needs. Who are you giving 3 points to?
I'm giving 3 to Yuki.
Oh, me too.
Ugh.
It was a solid race,
Fabulous.
wasn't it? 2?
3 to Yuki. I'm 2 to Charles.
Where's Charles on here?
I would be surprised if Charles has got a lot of points this year.
No, he's got a couple.
Okay.
2 to Leclerc. Yep.
And 1 to George.
Yeah, I think that's fairly solid, yeah. Yep, I'm going to give 2 to George.
Okay.
And I'll probably give 1 to Leclerc. Very boring points.
There you go. No,
do you want to attempt to do points for Vegas?
Do you want to attempt to do points for Vegas?
It's a little while ago.
Yeah,
I know that.
All right, we'll attempt.
I'll remind you of the running order and see if we can... There's so much so confusing for people.
It's all right.
I'll remind you of the finishing order, and we'll try and remember why this happened.
Okay,
different ones. So Max into Leclerc, and Sergio Perez came from the back of the field.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Esteban Ocon. Can't really remember how we ended up there. Lance Stroll in 5th.
Was next. Yep.
Carlos Sainz.
Yep.
Hamilton.
Yep.
Russell.
Yep.
Fernando Alonso, Oscar Piastri stole the last point and the fastest lap.
Yep.
Pierre Gasly, Alex Albon, and so on. How did Ocon end up so fast?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I can't
1 week in this sport.
I know, it's a lifetime ago.
It's difficult.
You know what? Let's just go the top 3 in order. Let's just go 3, 2, 1. There's no way in the world I'm giving it to Ocon, and I'm not giving it to Stroll either. I blatantly refuse to. So 3 Max, 2 Charles, 1 Checo.
3 Max, 2 Charles,
1 for Checo,
and 1 for Checo.
That's 4 I've given Charles in just 2 weeks. But fair enough. Deserve it.
Tell you what, Perez has not had points. Oh, yes, he has. He's had... not many.
Can't imagine that he would have had a lot.
For me, I'm going for 3 to Stroll.
What? Why?
Well, he's had a rough time of it, and he ended up with decent points. I'm going to go with 2 to Leclerc.
Good.
And 1 to Ocon. I
wish
I knew why.
Well, if you finish in
4th in that car, you're doing well.
All right.
So I'm with it. Dud of the day. Let's just stick with, unless you've got a good dud of the day for Vegas.
Dud of the day for Vegas.
You can have a dud of the day across both.
Yeah, I do actually. I'll give you a dud for Vegas. It was the security guards on the walkways. They're my duds.
Tell me more.
So there was a lot of footage that came out afterwards with Vegas about I think we talked about the week before, just the attempts that F1 had gone to block people from actually viewing the race from any other vantage point. So there was footage online on Instagram and social media of hired security that if you stopped on the walkway for a moment, they would come running up to you and screaming at you, forcing you to continue to move. Like if you just stopped and looked out for a second, you'd have a security guard screaming in your face to keep walking, and there was a lot of them up there. So I didn't like that. I thought that was poor. I think the amount of people on the walkway that they tried to stop, it's not like they lost hand over fist thousands upon thousands of dollars of someone who just generally was walking across the bridge and was like, oh yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Turned out lots of fans just stood on the escalator and then broke the escalator, and then we had about 50 people on the escalator just watching it. So, you know, for the sake of a handful of fans, literally a handful, and you locked them out in FP2 anyway, for the sake of a handful of fans watching it, like, just, no need.
It might be one of those situations where if you don't do something about it, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, just block the walkways off totally. Easy enough. But yeah, do we need to hire security screaming at people that just want to get a glimpse of something that they've never seen in their lifetime in their hometown before? Probably not.
Not bad. My day of the day.
Yep.
Young driver test after the race.
Ah, yeah.
It's perfect time after the season. Sorry, it's perfect timing for a young driver test.
Yep.
I don't mind that aspect of it.
Yep.
But let's get some information from it. Like, let's go and I know people are probably over Formula One. There was so little information about what was going on. What were they testing? What were they looking at? I know all the broadcasters couldn't care less. The season's over, but. Good. Formula One, that's your job to go and really give us a bit more information about who's in, what are they doing, why are they there. I feel like we could do a little bit more with that.
George crashed in the tyre test. Did you see that?
No.
Put it in the wall.
There you go.
Put it in the wall.
What was George doing in the car?
They did tyre tests before the young driver test. So Dan did the tyre test.
Oh, yeah, I did see some of the old
George
drivers.
did the tyre test.
Okay.
Stroll did it. Fernando didn't do the tyre test. Checo did the tyre test. But yeah, George put it in the wall. Photo of the W14 hanging from a crane with a snapped front left and suspension hanging like spaghetti.
So yeah, just I don't need to be watching it like we do with the pre-season testing.
But you would though, wouldn't you?
No, God no. No, I wouldn't. I honestly wouldn't. I'd watch a rundown or a bit of an information session about what they were looking at.
Okay.
And those sorts of things. I'm not sure they quite sold. And not that they're trying to sell it, I guess, but just give us a little bit more information on it.
We like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, unfortunately. F1.5.
F1.5. Rolling it over to next week, as we said. Announcing a full end of season review.
End of season review.
Yeah. As we know, Lando has taken it out. We announced last week that yes, that was it. Like
it was impossible.
Yeah, impossible for him to be caught. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see where the others came, and also if Dan and who won the other categories, Formula AT, Formula AlphaTauri.
I think Dan had already won it, hadn't he?
I think Dan was on the way to winning it. It was close.
Okay,
it was very close. It was very close.
With that in mind, fantasy.
That
one we can't hide.
We can't hide because I posted it already.
Has
been awarded. Thank you to Chris at Dr. Auto Art for being an incredible sponsor. If you are our winners, please reach out. I think I put it up last night, didn't I?
Something like that.
Put it up last night. All right, let's go through our teams. Let's do it. Let's go through ours because I love the new little feature this year, which gives you your season wrapped. It's a bit like Spotify. Spotify do that. Do you do that? You see what your wrapped is for Spotify?
I do.
Yeah, I like it. Interesting to see. All right, let's go through.
Let's go through
our
younger kids.
Let's go through. I just had a workmate post theirs, and it was just all the Wiggles.
Yeah.
Just Wiggle songs all the way through. Who else was I talking about that to today? Someone was talking about Wiggles, about saying Wiggletown. It's a very underrated song. I like it.
Don't know.
All right, give us your percentage. So you were ranked in.
Oh, I went to my actual team.
No, don't go to your team. Go to the homepage. Let's compare the percentages and the points and all that kind of stuff for your team. Right, it's fun.
Rightio, this doesn't actually make any sense to me. There's too many Mozzies in here. I'm trying to kill them. I was ranked top 2%.
Yep.
Your team was ranked in global leaderboard top 2%. And my rank was... I don't get this. My rank was 41,730. Okay?
Good.
Which, that all makes sense. The next part doesn't make sense. Because 52% more, okay, your team scored score compared to average scores. It was only 52% more.
That's nearly
52% more than average score. Okay, mate. Okay.
So if my average score is 100, your average score is 152.
Yeah.
So you scored 52%
Okay. Now
more.
I get it.
Does that make
Right.
sense?
Okay. Yep. So top 2%. What were you?
So I was top 1%.
Well done.
So I was ranked. So your team was ranked in the global leaderboard, 21,242.
Very impressive.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that.
Well done with that.
Thank you.
Considering that you had a little mid-season crisis.
Yeah, it did.
Or late season crisis.
Fixed it.
So, 52% more average than the average score. What was yours?
55% more for me.
And top 25% of the Beyond the Racing line,
Yep.
which tells the L League must have been ranked very highly.
We must have done well. It's actually some pretty good scores now. Top 11% for me.
Yeah,
That's
fantastic.
good. All right, best performing driver?
Max.
Yep, Max, same. Best performing constructor?
Red
Bull, obviously. Now, most ranks jumped across a single race. Now, I don't have Fernando GP in this because I did that little team test after we had a bit of a protest from a listener.
Oh, yeah.
So I made a second team. So it was my second team that I just titled Mercs because I put a lot of Mercedes drivers in just for the hell of it to see. So what was your most ranks jumped across a single race weekend?
1,418,767.
Cool. I like that. So mine was 1,975,504. That's a lot of rankings to jump.
Yeah, so it tells me that those teams were really crap at one stage and got better.
Yeah, you're right. Most points in a single race, I had 431.
453.
Good, I like that. Extra DRS, so most points using a chip was my 3 times.
Yes,
And I
same.
got 431 for
Yes,
that weekend.
that was my big one.
Yep. And then if we look at your dream team, so top 5 highest point scoring
So
drivers.
I think this is just across
This
the...
is just in general.
In general, I don't think they're ours, because if I go and look at my team, this isn't my team.
No, but this is my team. That's what makes me...
Show me, what was in your team?
Well, I had Max, Lando, Fernando, Oscar, Stroll, Red Bull and McLaren.
No, so that's what mine was too.
Okay, well then...
So I think that's just...
It's just in general. This is the top 5. If you had had this is what you would have had.
But
Okay.
I think still making moves would have made it better.
Yeah.
What was your team that you ended with? So if you go to my team and then click on the last race,
All right, sorry.
I finished with Max, Lando, Oscar, Pierre Gasly, and Alex Albon.
Okay.
With McLaren and Red Bull.
Okay, sorry, team. Yeah, no, fine. I actually made some changes. Did you use... I used my wild card
I
on my last one.
stopped giving that much
Did you? Good.
interest because I was too busy.
I was hell-bent on making sure I
Yeah, I
finished
know.
ahead of you.
Yeah, that's true.
So I finished with Max, George, Lando, Oscar,
Yep.
Dan, Red Bull, and McLaren.
Okay.
And that got me within 0.2 mil of the salary cap.
Okay.
So that was
How many points did you get this last round?
324 last week.
Nice.
Yeah.
What did Dan score you?
Dan scored me 11. So I got Max, I got 94.
Yep.
George, I got 32. He was on it and I brought him in. Lando, 22.
Good move, that one, George.
Oscar, 19. Dan, 11. Red Bull, 87. And McLaren, 59.
Yeah, nice.
That's what you end up with.
Yeah, 291.
Yep.
And Pierre Gasly and Alex Albon, 4 and 6 cost me in the end.
Yeah.
So,
There you go. Awesome. But all right, we'll go through the top 10.
Oh, absolutely.
And we'll include you as well as we go through down, because just me. So our champion is Q. I said that. Remember McLaren? And I said Q's the one to watch. They've come good at the end. And a massive gap too in the end. A really big gap. So congratulations to Q on 6,766
Has
points.
Q been in touch with you?
And I don't think anyone's been in touch with us yet. So if
I would
you
love-
are
I'd
listening,
love to know who
I
it
would love
is.
to know too. If you are listening and Q, you are out there, please get in touch or get in touch with Chris at Dr. Auto Art 2, who's been an incredible sponsor again this year. Thanks, Chris. We love everything that you do. Zanetta Team 3, despite the protest, couldn't find a way or any evidence that they had changed teams, so we've left them in there. So Zanetta Team 3 takes out second place, 6,624, and in third place, RRM Team F1 on 6,534 points.
Who did the protest come from?
I'll have to
You
go
remember?
back and have a
Okay.
look, but yes, we will
Interesting.
find that out. Unlucky Ricky Bobby Racing School missed out on a podium place by just 10 points.
Oh,
6,524. McLaren's daughters came home in fifth, 6,522.
only 2 points down.
Only 2
on
points away.
fourth. Yep.
Party in the back, 6,499. I've achieved my goal of inside top 10. I've
Well
finished
done.
7th. So 6,494 is me wrapping out 7th. WW Jolyon PD, 6,481. Cooking with Hass, 6,476. And rounding out the top 10, It Protects My Head, 6,445. And you, my friend, have come home in 15th position. So 6,383 points. So they are our top 10. And your good self.
Yeah,
fantasy.
I think you only asked me what my goal was. I think it was top 20.
I think it was something
so
like that.
I'll take that.
I think it was something like that. You did a good job because you were flailing for a long time there.
I've failed every year.
You are not great at fantasy. It makes me really happy. I'm going to give a special shout out to the bottom 3 as well.
Oh,
because they're the unsung heroes of fantasy who just they hold us all up being down there. So Dave 88, 3,904 in 64th position. Ka-chow. 3,825 in 65th, and bringing up the rear in the most inappropriately named team for a last place. D's Elite, most unelite team in fantasy. 3,765 points. So that's fantasy as a wrap. So thanks to everyone. Just a massive thanks to every single person who got on. 66 players this year, which is great and seems to go from strength to strength every single year. And again, thanks to Chris at Dr. Auto Art for being such an incredible sponsor of our fantasy and our podcasts and all things like that. We love all the artwork. Christmas is around the corner. Go onto his Instagram page, sign up to his email, get your discount codes, helmets, graffiti art, MotoGP, personalised posters he's doing as well. If you've got a son or a daughter or you're a racer as well, I know we have a couple of fans that are racers as well, get in touch with Chris and he will do some incredible art for you. But thanks to Chris. And our top 3, Q, Zanetta, and RRM Team F1, please get in touch with us on Facebook, DM us, and or get in touch with Chris directly, and we will look to endeavour to sort out your prize. But thanks to everyone for fantasy. What I mean on not embarrassing yourself too much this year.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm proud of you.
I appreciate that.
I'm proud.
It's very kind words.
No, thank you.
Any news?
Any news? Any news? Season's over.
Yeah,
that's the news. Mick Schumacher officially will WEC. We rumour milled that a couple of weeks ago. Will officially drive for Alpine. Yep, in WEC. So
does that make him a reserve driver for
still reserve
Alpine or who?
No, still reserve for Mercedes.
Okay,
Mick's actually on loan for a couple actually.
Yeah,
I think he's in there with the McLaren. He's got some McLaren ties too with the Mercedes engine as well. And what was I going to say? Oh, I had something else, but I totally forgotten it just then.
In terms of driver movements?
Red Bull renaming. Racing Bulls.
Oh, yeah.
Racing Bulls.
That hasn't been announced yet, but yes, that's what they're thinking. Yeah.
It's all but officially announced in my book. So I had a look, and there was a couple of journalists that jumped on Twitter and a really reliable page that I follow where the name was trademarked about 6 months ago and owned by the Red Bull as part of that. So that looks to be it.
Racing Bulls.
Racing Bulls. Yeah, don't mind it. It has a little bit more of a...
Is there anything that annoys you that it's just a turnaround of Red Bull Racing?
No, not at all. I like it. Racing Bulls. It's nice. It's cool. It's cool. I feel it's a real young sort of people.
It's far too similar.
Not that we're old, but
it's far too similar.
But
I think isn't there might be a brand name before and after it.
There will, yes. There'll be a title sponsor before and after. Now, here's one I'm going to throw at you, which I did a little bit of digging around and looks to be not too far off the mark. That the livery didn't change from Vegas to this weekend. There's no announcement that it was going to be a stay-on livery as part of any sponsorship deal. So the rumour is that what we've seen on the AlphaTauri now is in fact
what we're going to get this
the
year.
Racing Bulls livery for next year.
I'm okay with it. It looks good.
I'm okay with it. I like it. It's different. Yeah. It's different. So then what you'll do is you'll throw a sponsor on there down the bottom. You notice the back of the chassis work above the rear. But the rear suspension is quite blank, so that's where the title sponsor will go. And I can imagine that with the red staying on there, and I think Orland is gone, I would expect that we'll have a title sponsor that is red in colour as well. So it should work.
No more Alfa Romeo?
No, Alpha gone. Yeah, Alpha gone. So they'll be back to Sauber for next year. And then I think is
possibly Sauber with a title sponsor again.
Sauber, which is fine. And we know Sauber are going anyway because Audi are going to take over that. So, and Audi is to take over the following year. So that's fine. I think it's just a good, nice way to wrap up.
I think Sauber and Audi are still going to work together.
I think they are.
Beyond it, I believe.
Oh, I think so too. You need that there. And
but
I think
that livery, though, needs to go.
Yeah, it does.
Far too similar to the Mercedes.
Yeah.
There needs to be some rules around this. Someone needs to give these an okay.
It's very not Vegas. I feel like they got to the end of the Vegas and just went, stuff it.
Just leave it.
Just leave
it. I can't. Can you be bothered doing it? No.
No.
You do it. No, I'm not.
And you know what? I wonder if budget came into it as well.
Possibly.
Like, geez, have we got enough to change it back? No, stuff it. Just leave it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Naked Bottas.
Oh, Bottas.
Bottas. Yeah. So yeah.
Will you be buying a calendar?
No.
Okay.
No, I won't. But it's for a great cause. So those people who don't know what we're talking about, Valtteri has brought out a calendar with his naked ass on every page in different scenarios and beautiful sceneries. And it's all about raising money to help fight cancer.
Yep.
And
I love it. Brilliant.
Yeah, and he's raised $150,000 so far.
It's sold out.
I love.
Sold out.
It's sold out for now. I'll wait for the next lot to come out.
It's sold out.
But yeah, so good on him. Good guy award. It definitely goes to Bottas. What a good guy.
Yep, I love it.
Any other news?
No, that's sort of it, isn't it? It's season over.
It's been a long one.
It has, hasn't it? It has been a long one. But,
considering we missed a race because of
flooding,
flooding
and weather, all that kind of stuff.
But yeah, it has certainly been a long one. It feels like we could have finished at normal time, but then if you think about the last few races, it sort of didn't really matter.
Yeah,
like Aston was still a good race.
Yep.
Wasn't it? It was still a good spot to be. Yep. Mexico, neither here nor there on Mexico.
Yep.
But Brazil and then Vegas, I think they really came home strong.
I think so too.
Yeah, it could have really petered out with those two.
Yeah, I think so.
But it was I mean, any season of Formula 1's a good season. But
96, 93 days to go, and we're back to testing.
Thank goodness.
And I like that because
is that testing or was that first race?
Sorry, that's first race.
So I think we get testing 2 weeks before that.
So you can take which is great. That's even better.
Yep.
I love that we can go right to the end of the season.
Liveries. See, I'm with you on that. I am with you on that.
I like that.
Liveries will be out before then. So
beautiful, and we'll be up and excited. Bet you the Red Bull doesn't change.
That's a money on it.
Ferrari will be red.
It'd be nice if Red Bull went back to that purple, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
I like
Infinity.
That. I like the purple.
Infinity purple, hey.
Yeah, but anyway, we'll be back with a fantasy after this. Not a fantasy, a
season review.
Well, season review next week.
Season review next week.
But we'll also have a fan frenzy coming out between now and then.
Yep, and we'll do wonderful things. We'll have a few more pass and fail social medias. We'll be asking for driver of the season, team of the season, race of the season, moment of the season, biggest improver, biggest failure.
All the wonderful things.
All our votes. F1.5 champion.
Get involved.
And then podium getters.
Yep.
Lots of good stuff coming through, so yeah.
Get involved on all the socials. Let us know what you think, because as we're going through them, we'll be running out some of your answers as well. Yep. But until then, fantasy. But season 2023 is officially over.
It's over.
Yeah. Goodbye now.